Hello Year 6, Mrs Greene here, and I'll be taking over the spellings from Mr Powell this week. Before we start, I just want to say a big shout out to our Spelling Shared champion, and the winner will be revealed on this week's Year 6 newsletter. We also want to say well done to all the children who've been engaging with the YouTube lessons, and for those of you who have also been listening or reading our class text Stormbreaker. Very soon we will also be releasing the new class text Wonder. As you know, spellings are very important. Spelling is a life skill that we do need, and it is particularly relevant to our new topic with aspirations. We might be thinking about what we want to do in the future, and with that we will need to be able to write a letter of application, so spellings will come in handy. But before we start, I'd like you to go and get a piece of paper, pen or pencil, so pause the video now. Okay. So firstly, we're going to just rewind and go back to the learning objective that you did with Mr Powell last week to look at words ending in suffix endings, ent or ents. So just a quick test for you guys. I'm going to read out 2 sentences and I want you to identify the word that ends in ent or ents, whether it is a noun or an adjective. So I'm just going to show you these sentences here. There was a frequent bus service into the city. Tom doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. So pause the video and write down the word class of frequent and the word class of difference. Okay, so having a look at these words, which include the suffix endings that you did last week, knowing the word class helps us identify which ending is needed. So there is a frequent bus service is an adjective, and it's an adjective because it describes the noun, the bus service. Whereas down here, Tom doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. Difference is a noun. Okay, moving on to another quick test. See if you can complete the blanks for me. Adjectives ending in blank can change to make nouns ending in blank. So pause the video, write that sentence down and see if you can add in the blanks. Right, let's check. Adjectives ending in ent can change to make nouns ending in ents. Okay, let's have another quick check. I'm going to read 2 more sentences. This time, there is still a blank, but it is not the whole word. It is just the suffix ending that we have to choose. So, the sergeant expects obedience or obedient from his men. The young woman protested that she was innocent or innocence. Which one makes sense? Which word class are we looking for? Are we looking for a noun to complete the sentence or an adjective to complete the sentence? Pause the video, write the sentence down and have a go. Okay, the sergeant expects obedience. Noun. The young woman protested that she was innocent. Okay, well done if you remembered all that from last week. Okay, so moving on to the next part. But I'm not going to reveal the learning objective yet. Instead, I'm going to read out some words and I want you to not only have a go at spelling these words, but also see if you can figure out what the learning objective could be. So here we go. Educator, photographer, estimator, burglar, manager. So pause the video so you get a chance to write them. And then let's have a look at the answers. Okay, so you might have noticed that each word has a suffix ending or r that are spelt with different colours. So that might help you think about our learning objectives. I'm just going to show you our learning objective now. So our learning objective this week is to spell words with suffix endings or and r. Now the most important thing here is that although they might be spelt differently, they sound the same, they have the same pronunciation. So how do we go about trying to spell these words? How do we know which is the correct suffix to use? Now the problem is there is no strict rule, but there are some helpful tips. So having a look. Number 1, comparative adjectives end in er. So a comparative adjective, just to remind you, is used to compare differences between two objects. So my house is larger than yours. Your dog runs faster than Jim's. So larger and faster are comparative adjectives that would end in er. Number 2, or, the suffix or, often follows words ending in ct, such as actor, or it, such as visitor, ate, such as dictator, and the ess, such as successor. Number 3, the ar suffix often follows l. So examples are collar or similar. And another helpful tip, apologies it's a little bit creased, but the helpful tip is that is the most common suffix ending out of the 3, and the ar is the least common. Right, my turn. So let's have a go. I need to choose the correct suffix ending to complete these words. And I'm going to try to use the helpful tips, the rules, as much as I can. So, success. What ending is it going to have? Well, thinking back to my tips, if a word ends in ess, it says that or often follows. Okay, moving on to the next one. Build. So what could it be at the end? Well, it's not a comparative adjective. It doesn't end in ct, it, ate or ess. It doesn't end in an l. And er is the most common. I'm going to go with er. Okay, aviate. Not a comparative adjective, but I can see ate at the end, so I should just be able to add or. That doesn't look right though. Oh, I know, we've got to remember to drop the e. There we go, aviate all. Okay, moving on. Doesn't look like a comparative adjective. Doesn't end in ct, it, ate or ess, so it's not an or ending. So, oh, it does end with l, so it could be to add a r. So I've had a go, and this time it's worked. I've been able to use my helpful tips. We must remember it doesn't always apply. There are many common exception words in the English language. So moving on to your turn now. Okay, so I'm going to read the words, and I want you guys at home to have a go at completing the ending. So you are choosing er, or ar as a suffix ending. So the first word, vicar, debater, visitor, lesser, spectacular. Okay, so pause the video now while you have a go. Right, let's have a look. So there are a few tricky ones that I've put on here, so I'm going to come back to them after. I'm going to start with this word here. So having a think about the helpful tips that I gave you at the beginning, if a word ends in ct, it, ate or ess, then or often follows, but we must remember to drop the E, so it should be OR. Okay, down here again, visit ends in IT, so again, or often follows. Down here is quite interesting because it did say that or often follows the ESS, but we know that our first helpful tip was if it is a comparative adjective, it would end in the ER suffix ending. Okay, then this one here, again, we can use one of the helpful tips. The third one was AR often follows a word ending with L, so spectacular. But I'm going back up to this one because this is where we find that sometimes there are no rules and sometimes we just need to know the word. So this will be a word that you would just need to memorise. Okay, I'm going to share with you now this week's spellings. So, all of these words contain the suffix ending ER, AR or OR. I'm just going to read them out now. We've got computer, superior, customer, soldier, shoulder, interior, calendar, popular, particular and radiator. And you might notice that there are 2 stars next to 2 words, and this is because these were on our year 5-6 spelling list. Okay, having a look at our chilies this week, because now it is your turn. So first of all, practice this week's spelling words using a strategy of your choice. We've done lots of these strategies in school. Here are some examples. It could be that you do the pyramid, it could be that you do rainbow writing, or it could be that you do look, cover, write, check. Chili 2. Do Chili 1 first and then create an aspiration cloud with the top 10 careers that interest you that contain the ER, OR or AR suffix. So an example of this, I'm just going to show you now. I've had a little go to start. Okay, here's my aspiration cloud. So this is some careers that I might have been interested in before when I was younger, but I've looked for ones as well that also contain the suffix ending ER, OR or AR. So I've written them down into my cloud, and I've also drawn a few illustrations next to it. Okay, Chili 3. Complete Chili 1 and 2, but think about some of your career choices that you have chosen in your cloud and write some sentences which explain your choices. So here's an example here. Because of my joy of learning, I would be keen to help others by becoming an educator of some sort. Okay, that is now the end. That is now the end of our spelling lesson. I do hope you're feeling a lot more confident and you can use some of the helpful tips to help you with your spellings. Okay, so this week's spellings will also be on Spelling Shed, so it'd be great to see many of you logging on and having a go at lots of the games involving these spellings. It would also be lovely for you to email in any of the work that you've done. You might just be taking pictures of things, or you might be typing stuff up, but it'd be lovely for you to email it in. So here's the Year 6 email address to remind you all. So year6@franchprimary.wooks.sc.uk. Looking forward to hearing from you all.